Hey there, and welcome back to Her Unraveled Life. This is Amy, your Christian life coach. If the holiday season has you feeling more frazzled than festive, this episode is for you. I love Christmas. It's my absolute favorite time of year, except the cold. But let me tell you a little story about a time that I found myself Googling elves for kids because my 5-year-old daughter was convinced that Santa was going to send her one of his elves for Christmas. And she swore that some of her friends at school already had one. Yes, she asked me for a real elf for Christmas. I had never heard of it yet, but when I finally figured out what she was asking for, it was actually the elf on the shelf. Now, this was when my 18-year-old was 5, so it was several years ago. I went on this full-blown mission to get one because it was the only thing that was on her list that year. Back then, they were impossible to find in the stores because they were just becoming popular. And I finally snagged one online, but it wasn't going to arrive until after Christmas. Cue mom panic mode and guilt. Thankfully, we had a family trip planned to Disneyland that year. And while we were there, my daughter asked Mrs. Claus herself for an elf, which was perfect timing. Little did I know what I was getting myself into, though. Our elf was only with us for a week that first year before he had to go back to the North Pole. But that first full holiday season, starting the following Thanksgiving with our elf, who was Elf, as my daughter so creatively named him, was magical. I set up the elaborate, mischievous little scenes every night. I had so much fun. I photographed it. I made a book out of it for her so that she could have it forever. He teepeed our tree. He rode around in the Barbie car. He made friends with the Barbies, and he made marshmallow snowmen and so much more. And then the exhaustion started to creep in. By year 2, I'd burned through all of my Pinterest ideas. And by year 3, forget it. Some nights Elf just stayed in the same spot, forgetting to move. Fast forward to today, my girls are now young adults and perfection is out. Elf still gets into trouble, but my daughters help move him now, and we just do it for laughs, not for Pinterest points. Letting go of those unrealistic expectations gave me so much peace, and that's exactly what I want for you this holiday season. Today, we're going to talk about 9 ways to reduce stress this holiday season. I'll walk you through practical tips that can help you find more peace, joy, and the balance that we all crave during what can sometimes feel like the busiest, most overwhelming time of the year. We'll talk about everything from letting go of perfection to creating meaningful, faith filled traditions. Whether you're hosting family, juggling endless to do lists, or just trying to keep up with your elf on the shelf, looking at you, elf, these tips will help keep you in the season and focused on what matters most. So let's dive in. Welcome to Her Unraveled Life, the podcast for kingdom women ready to break free from feeling stuck, overcome self-doubt, and step boldly into their God-given calling without the overwhelm. I'm Amy Wadlington, a Christian life coach and spiritual mentor, here to help you transform your mindset and find clarity. If you're ready to finally experience the breakthrough you've been longing for, you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Number 1 is simplify. Do you ever find yourself making life harder than it needs to be? I never do that. Actually, that was me and my friend a few weeks ago at Hobby Lobby. We had this grand plan to craft our own gingerbread themed Christmas doormats. We were so excited to go and buy all of the supplies and spend the evening painting these doormats. Yet we didn't exactly know how we were going to make it work, but we decided Hobby Lobby would help. You know, those Pinterest-worthy plans that don't usually go as planned? That was the plan for the night. But as soon as we got to the store, our plan started unraveling. Blank doormats, nowhere to be found. Instead, we stumbled across some pre-made ones that were really cute and they were on sale for 50% off. My friend and I just stood in the aisle laughing. The old us, we would have driven around town to three more stores looking for blank mats. We would have spent way too much money on expensive craft supplies and spent hours stressing over making them perfect. And then, let's be honest, they probably would have ended up stashed in a closet somewhere or tossed because they weren't perfect. But this time we paused. We decided to keep it simple. We grabbed the pre-made mats. Did I mention that they were 50% off? And picked up some paint, some stencils, a couple of ornaments, and a few little wooden signs. And we decided to make Christmas tags for gifts instead. And you know what? We had the best time. Hot tea in hand, crafting those Christmas tags. We laughed so much, and not once did we feel any stress. It felt so good to keep things uncomplicated and actually enjoy the moment together. And it got me thinking, how often do we get in our own way of having peace? Not because life is so demanding, and I know that sometimes it can be, but because we overcomplicate things. We spend too much, plan too much, do too much, and in the process, we lose the joy of just living. If we want peace, we have to learn to simplify, get out of our own way, and just enjoy life sometimes. Having Pinterest-worthy doormats wasn't what was important here. It was just enjoying time with my friend. Number two is let go of perfection. If you're anything like me, you want to create the perfect holiday for your family. But can I let you in on a little secret? Perfect is not real, especially during the holidays. I learned this shortly after my divorce, and I had to start sharing my time with my daughters during the holidays. That first Christmas day that they weren't with me, I stayed in bed all day long. And then 2 years later, because we did every other year, I decided that Christmas didn't have to be on Christmas Day. And I could either be depressed and stay in bed all day, or I could go to an extra church service. I could read a good book, or even go to extended families to celebrate. Over the years, I actually learned to really enjoy Christmas Day because everything was closed, so there was no pressure to go anywhere. And I just stayed home and just enjoyed quiet time by myself. I did lots of self-care and I learned to really enjoy the time. And then the girls loved having two Christmases. One year they came home the day after Christmas and I surprised them with a trip to Disneyland, which is the same year that we got Elf Elf. And that was another lesson of letting go of perfection because don't ever go to Disneyland the week after Christmas. Apparently, that's the busiest week of the entire year, and we learned that the hard way. The memories that your family will cherish, no matter what's happening in your lives, are not about picture perfect trees, having all the right presents, or the perfect day on a special day, or even about having a perfect family vacation. They're about the love and the joy that you share together as a family. So give yourself permission to let go of perfect. I promise you, the weight that lifts off your shoulders is worth it. Okay, so number three is set boundaries. Raise your hand if you've ever said yes to a holiday party or an event where you really wanted to say no. I see you over there. Consider this your permission to say no and your permission to buy the treats instead of making them from scratch. Your time and energy are precious, especially during this season. When my girls were in elementary school, every year some of us moms would get together and all bake 100 cookies each, and then we would combine them to make cookie gifts for the school staff. As a single mom who worked outside the home and had a side photography business, doing extra work was always a challenge, especially during the holidays, but I always seemed to make it work until one year when life was lifing. I showed up to the annual mom party with store-bought cookies. Gasp. I was so worried about being judged by the other moms, but you know what happened instead? They all wondered why they didn't think of it themselves. Of course, some of you have time to bake 100 cookies from scratch and you love to do it, and that's okay. You may not have the time to do it, or you love to do it and you just can't make it work this year. There's no wrong answer here and there's no right answer here. Either way, it's okay. Find what works for you and do that. Whether it's skipping a gathering, delegating tasks, or buying store-bought cookies, set boundaries that protect your peace. Number 4 is create a holiday budget. Let's talk about money stress. It's the ultimate holiday joy thief. It sneaks in faster than Elf can toilet paper your Christmas tree. And if you've ever found yourself staring at your bank account on December 26th thinking, what just happened? You are not alone. Here's the deal. Creating a realistic holiday budget can be an absolute game changer. Start by setting clear limits on what you'll spend for gifts, for meals, and festivities. And then, this is the hard part, stick to it. I know your brain's already trying to convince you that just one more gift for the kids or an extra centerpiece for the table won't hurt. But trust me, sticking to your plan now means no guilt or regret when the credit card bill shows up in January. And here's the beautiful thing. Meaningful doesn't have to mean expensive. Some of my favorite Christmas memories with my girls weren't about fancy gifts at all. They were about the simple, messy, hilarious things, like the time that Elf forgot to move and just stayed in the same spot for 2 nights because I was that tired. We turned it into a joke and laughed about how lazy he was, or the year that we baked cookies and ended up covering the entire kitchen with flour that looked like a snowstorm had hit. Those moments didn't cost a dime, but they're etched in my heart forever. So when you're tempted to splurge on the latest and greatest gadgets or picture perfect holiday decor, ask yourself this: will this add to the joy of the season or just to the stress? If it's the latter, let it go. The magic of Christmas isn't in the stuff, it's in the time, the love, and the laughter that you share with the people that you love the most. And if you're wondering where to start, here's a quick tip. Write down 3 things that matter the most to you this season. Maybe it's family dinners, giving back, or creating cozy nights at home. Let those be your guide as you plan your budget. And remember, no price tag can replace the gift of peace. Because trust me, your kids won't remember the pricey toy that you stressed over. They'll remember you present and joyful, living out the spirit of Christmas. Okay, now number 5 is prioritize self-care. Let's be real. This time of year feels like running a marathon while carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. There's shopping, parties, school plays, baking, wrapping, and oh yeah, you're supposed to be enjoying the magic of the season while barely catching your breath. Here's what I want you to hear loud and clear. You matter too. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup, and the holidays are no exception. So I want you to put me time on your to-do list. And no, it doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't have to go get a facial and a massage and a pedicure. Maybe it's just sitting in silence with a cup of peppermint tea before everyone wakes up. Maybe it's a quick walk around the block to clear your head, or maybe it's locking yourself in the bathroom or in your car for 5 minutes of uninterrupted silence. Whatever it looks like for you, just do it. And here's the truth. When you take care of yourself, you're not just doing it for you. You're showing up for your family as the calm, joyful person that they love the most. Because trust me, the best gift you can give your loved ones isn't perfect decorations or Pinterest-worthy treats. It's you, fully present and fully at peace. Number 6 is focus on what matters. Okay, confession time. I used to get caught up in all the things during the holidays, the perfect tree, matching wrapping paper, going to every parade and light show, and a Christmas dinner table that looked like it belonged in a magazine. But when those years came that my girls weren't with me, I had time to focus on what really mattered, Jesus, and cherishing every moment I did have with my girls when they were home. It's not the decor, the menu, or the Instagram posts that your family will remember. It's the laughs around the table, the hugs, the late night movies in your PJs. Those moments are where the magic lives. So if you're feeling the pressure to make everything just right, just take a deep breath and let it go. Your people don't need perfect, they just need you. And trust me, those perfectly imperfect moments will become the ones that they cherish the most. Number seven is simplify traditions. Let's talk about holiday traditions, the fun, memory filled activities that somehow end up feeling like a to do list if we're not careful. Over the years, I've learned that it's okay to simplify the traditions. Here's the thing, if a tradition is stressing you out, it's okay to change it or even to let it go. Traditions are supposed to bring joy, not exhaustion. So ask yourself, does this tradition still spark joy for me and my family? If the answer is no, it's time to simplify or create something new that fits this season of your life. Your traditions don't have to look like anyone else's. They just have to feel meaningful to you and your family. And the simpler they are, the more energy you'll have for what matters most, which is enjoying the special time with the people that you love. Number eight is strengthen your faith. The holidays are the time to reflect on God's greatest gift, the birth of Jesus. One beautiful way to stay centered in faith is to read through the Gospel of Luke during Advent. It has 24 chapters, so reading one chapter a day leading up to Christmas is a meaningful tradition for many families and one that you can start. Now, this episode is dropping in mid-December, so if you're just hearing this and feel like it's too late, don't worry. You can catch up by reading two chapters a day or simply read at your own pace. You don't have to read the entire book. You can just do the first five chapters or whatever works for you. The goal isn't to create more stress, but to find a rhythm that works for you. This could even become a new tradition with your kids. Gather together, light a candle, and reflect on the chapters that you read together. Or keep it simple with just a few verses and a short prayer. What matters is anchoring your heart in Christ and creating moments of connection, not perfection. And if this feels like too much this year, consider planning ahead and just doing it next year. One of my favorite verses is Romans 15:13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. That's the kind of peace that I want you to carry with you this season. Number nine is ask for help. If you aren't already, it's time to learn to delegate. You don't have to do it all on your own, whether it's asking your kids to help decorate, splitting hosting duties with your family, or asking a trusted friend to help you fold laundry. Leaning on others can make all the difference. The holidays are about community, so let's share in the load and the joy. So let's wrap up. I'm going to go through those again. Number one was simplify. Number two is let go of perfection. Number three is set boundaries. Number four was create a holiday budget. Number five was prioritize self-care. Number six, focus on what matters. Number seven, simplify traditions. Number eight, strengthen your faith. And number nine, ask for help. So there you have it, 9 ways to reduce holiday stress. Remember, this season is not about perfection. It's about peace, connection, and celebrating the birth of Jesus. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, know that you are not alone. I am here for you, and I'd love to help you navigate this season with more joy and less stress. If that sounds like something you need, let's connect for a free breakthrough session. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend that could use a little bit of extra peace this season. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Until next time. That's it for today, friends. Before you go, I just want to say, if this podcast has blessed you, the best way to thank me is to leave a written review over on Apple Podcasts or give it a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. And don't forget to hit follow so you never miss an episode. The other thing you can do is share it with a friend. Not only does this bless me, but you're helping spread this message to someone else who might need to hear it. And hey, before we wrap up, let me remind you of something really important. You have come so far. Look at how much you've grown. There hasn't been one challenge you haven't overcome. You are strong, capable, and so gifted. God has an incredible purpose and plan for your life. Remember, you are a daughter of the one true King. You are His masterpiece, and your story has the power to inspire others. Be proud of the woman you are and the one you are becoming. And don't forget, you didn't go through everything you've gone through for nothing. These tests will become your testimony. Your mess will become your message. You were born for such a time as this. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Until next time, friend.